Okay, hello everybody. I think we're going to get started in the next couple of minutes. We'll just see if we've got any other latecomers coming along, but welcome to everybody that has come along so far. Let me just do a little bit of housekeeping before we even get started. Just to check, first of all, that you can hear us. I'd be really grateful if somebody could put some notes in the chat box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, just to say you can hear. Oh, Angela, brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Excellent. That's a great start. And you've all found the chat box, which is another really good place to see. So what I would say, my goal really for today, I'm going to be monitoring the chat and monitoring the questions that are coming in. So the chat sections are obviously on the right-hand side. And if you scroll down slightly, you'll see a section where you can also add questions. Use either of them and I'll keep on top of them as well. So I think that's fine. As a question we get asked in every single webinar, so I think I'll just cover it now. We can't see you and we can't hear you. So don't talk to your computers because it's going to make no difference. But if you do have questions, or even comments, if you want to say something, just use that chat option and we'll be really happy to see and hear from you. I think we're good to go. Jill and Fiona, are you both ready?
Yep. Do it.
Let's do it. All right, fantastic. So, welcome everybody for coming along to the vacation rental meetup. I think we've got people here from the States and from Europe. So good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. For those of you who have not been to this meetup before, this is a monthly meetup organized by Bookster. So I'm Kelly and I'm the marketing director of Bookster, and we organize these events inviting special guest speakers every month to come along and talk about what the hottest topics are of the industry. And in all honesty, I never thought we would be sitting here talking about cleaning. It's been a real surprise to kind of bring this up as a topic, but it's so interesting. And I've done so much research on toilets in the last couple of weeks. So I'm delighted to welcome along Jill and Fiona. Jill, do you want to start off, maybe give an introduction for those people who don't know you?
I would love to. Thank you. So my name is Jill Mason, and I am the founder of Cleaning Certification. I've also founded VR Scheduler, which is operations software for vacation rental managers, basically software that runs your cleaners and your maintenance and does all of the scheduling and time tracking and kind of is a bolt-on to your property management system to run your operations. So I also live in Washington State here in the US with my son, who may or may not pop his head in at any moment. And yeah, so I founded VR Scheduler about 4 years ago. And then when COVID hit, I worked with a lot of my customers, along with some resources, some scientific resources here in Washington State to develop the cleaning certification program. And I'm excited to present today because we're going to be talking about some hopefully somewhat enjoyable topics around this very serious topic of some of the things that people haven't caught yet or don't know yet about cleaning their vacation rentals.
Perfect. Okay, and Fiona?
Here's hoping nobody catches anything during this.
Anyway, yeah, that was a bad word.
I'm Fiona Campbell. I'm the Chief Executive of the Association of Scotland Self-Caterers. We're a membership organisation representing professional but also collaborative economy players in the self-catering sector in Scotland. I've also got two of my own properties, and I've been running self-catering business for 18 years. So I come at it from both angles. I do it from the ground up and I look after it as a sector in Scotland.
Wonderful. Excellent. And for those of you who don't know me, I am passionate about marketing and about communications. This is my background, and I've been working in Bookster for a good couple of years now. And as I said, I am really here just to oversee the questions that you're going to send in. If you do have any questions related to cleaning and marketing and communications, I'll jump in on those as well. So let's have a look at the schedule today. It's a 45-minute session, so we're not going to just blab on all day. Jill's going to go through 5 guidelines that you may have missed. I've had a sneaky preview and it's really interesting. Fiona's going to go through the best practices. Obviously, Fiona speaks to property managers a lot. So she's going to be talking us through her best advice. We'll go through the questions. I mean, it obviously depends on Fiona and Jill. They might answer some of the questions as we're going through. We might leave some of them to the end. And I've got a list of questions that have been sent through to us in advance as well. So we'll leave some time at the end there to make sure they get answered. And then we've got another event coming up, so I'll tell you about that at the end. So Jill, if it's okay with you, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, let me open my slides here. The course that cleaning certification is kind of wrapped around is a 1-hour online course that includes kind of all of the most important guidelines around health and safety and cleaning for vacation rentals. It's in a course format, so you're literally reading slides, listening to slides, and then answering quizzes between each one. And we found that's the best way for people to remember the information. You can see the entire course on our website at cleaningcertification.com. We're not hiding that information. We just know that when cleaners actually take the course, that's when they retain it. So what we've done for this slideshow is we've pulled some of the slides, some of the guidelines from the course, and put them into this fun kind of 5-slide format for things that you may not have heard of before in the past. And we can talk about these slides, and I invite Fiona to also pitch in her ideas here. And these are things that you may not have heard of yet, or you may have, which is great. And yeah, so that's what these slides are. So the first 2 are kind of one slide. That's why there's actually 7, not 5, as the title said. So there's 2 things that you can ask your guests. You know, and you know how in vacation rentals, a lot of times you have your kind of checkout list or your list of things for the guests to do before they leave. So these things can be easily added just to that list. So one of the things is to ask the guests to open the windows before departure, and that'll just air out the place, let the germs disperse, and get some fresh air into your place. Of course, as Fiona pointed out when I showed her the slides, you don't want to do this if there's a security risk, or if there's a torrential rainstorm going on, or if there's some other reason that you wouldn't want to do this. But getting those windows open, especially if you are renting, you know, within a day of the departure and the arrival, getting those windows open is great.
So what would you suggest doing, you know, in the kind of scenario where it was a bit of a security risk to leave the windows open when the guest leaves? What would be your suggestion?
Yeah, so in that case, what we recommend is that the cleaner go through and open the windows first when they get to the property. If possible, we recommend they open the windows and then maybe do an outside task to try to let it give it 20 minutes to disperse that air. And that could be like cleaning the barbecues, which we kind of talked about, or the hot tub, or sweeping the deck, or, you know, just do something outside while you let the property sort of air out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, actually, you wouldn't have seen it, but on the BBC last night at 10 o'clock, this was exactly the topic that they were talking about on the news.
Really?
It's mostly not just for holiday rentals, but for people trying to go back to working in the offices. A lot of people can't because they work in offices where the windows don't open. They've only got air conditioning, which is recycling that air through all the different offices on that floor, and people therefore
so cross-contaminating.
Yeah.
In the situation of a holiday let, it's not essential that you open the windows. The evidence suggests that it doesn't stay airborne for a particularly long time. It's just really good practice. So if you are able to open the windows, go ahead and open the windows. If you can't, don't worry about it.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. And the experts that we've talked to have said, in general, the risk to vacation rental cleaners is low. So just knowing that in general as a global concept maybe will make your cleaners feel a little more confident, just to know, their risk is really low. These are just some extra things that they can do or that they should just put into practice because they're easy and it lowers their risk even more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Should we go to the next one? Does anyone, I don't know, I'm not looking at the questions.
No questions related to that.
Keep going. Okay, that's a pretty easy one. And then another one for the guests is to ask them to place their dirty linen in the bag upon departure. So if you can get your guests to strip their own beds and to gather up their own towels and put those all in the bag to be brought out to your laundry facility, if you have a laundry facility, that just reduces your risk even more because those germs can sit on the on that dirty linen, and any kind of fluffing or shaking that you're doing of the linen can get those germs back airborne again.
So I have a question about the bag. Is it a special type of bag that they're supposed to be using? Like I was thinking, you could provide like a nice branded, is the marketer in me, you could have a nice branded cotton bag, but then surely that's not good either because then there could be something on the bag. So maybe you'd want them to have a plastic bag. I'm not sure what your thoughts are.
Yeah, Fiona might have more insight into this, but what I've heard from my sources is that if you can use a bag that can also be put into the laundry and washed, then that would be the best case scenario. So
I'm using a standard hotel linen bag.
Mm-hmm.
So you have it in your hotel linen bag. Once you've done that laundry, the linen bag goes in the wash.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That's
and the thing to think about when you're sort of asking these questions, and these are like one sentence guidelines, so there's obviously a lot of like information and questions in between this one sentence, but that you have dirty items and you have clean items. So you want to think about like when you're touching and working with dirty items, you're just doing that, and then once stuff comes out of the laundry, you want to only touch and work with that stuff with the clean items. So you never want to like touch dirty items to clean items. And that includes your hands or your clothes or all of that stuff. So the dirty stuff is all going in the dirty bag and it's going in the dirty, and into your car or into whatever you're bringing that. And then you're washing your hands and moving on to your clean tasks. So just keeping that in the back of your mind as you're working through your day. I mean, I know this is outside of this particular guideline, but the dirty linen is going into the dirty bag, and then all of that stuff's getting washed so that once it comes out the other side, you're doing your clean tasks.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's really interesting. And we've got a question about the second question down from Helena. It says, is it necessary to change duvets and pillows at each changeover and then quarantine the used ones for 72 hours before using again?
Do you want me to jump in?
Go for it. Yeah.
So every single business is going to have a different way of working, whether you're doing the laundry, whether you outsource it to a big laundry company. If you've got 12 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, you've got to look at what's going to be achievable for your own business. So the options are, you can remove your duvets and pillows and put them somewhere for 72 hours plus between stays. But that's not going to be practical if you, for example, like me, sleep 20. Where am I going to put 20 times double duvets and pillows and all the rest of it? It's just not practical. So for me, the option that I went for after doing all of this research was that I have got mattress protectors, and then I've got polyurethane mattress protectors. I've got duvet protectors. I've got pillow protectors, and then polyurethane pillow protectors. So the mattress protectors and the pillow protectors stay on, they keep your pillow nice. Then you've got your polyurethane one, which is going to stop any kind of residue, if it were, to come down onto the pillow. You strip all of that. You strip the mattress protector, the pillow protector, and the duvet protector, and wash them. And then you just go again. And the third option is that you can use various sprays, which will put disinfectant mist across all of those items, and then you can reuse them the same day. So you've just got to kind of, all of these are guidelines, but you've got to interpret those guidelines, how it's going to work for your business, and, just work out what's going to be practical.
Yeah. And another option, in addition to the mist, is you can put some of that stuff directly into the dryer for 30 minutes. at the highest setting that they can be at, and that will also kill those germs as well.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully
that
answer the question, Helena. If you've got any subsequent questions, feel free to jump in. Okay.
Okay, and then I think we already covered this one. So don't shake or fluff dirty linen. If you are, stripping the beds or dealing with, like we said, duvet covers or pillowcases or towels, just try to keep them as contained as possible. Like you don't want to be shaking out the towels or shaking out the bed sheets before you're stuffing them in your laundry bag or putting them in the washer. So this is the one that I think everyone's already heard of, but maybe people can say in the chat if they've heard of this one or not.
There are definitely people that haven't, because I know some property managers that I've spoken to are not doing anything like this.
Okay.
And some, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real
and these are just really easy things. Like you can just tell your cleaners, don't shake or fluff the dirty linen. That's just a habit that they can get into. That's really easy. Mm-hmm. That doesn't take them any extra time. So this is a no-brainer. Like you should just do it. Okay. So next one.
Before you just move on to the next one, Claire was just asking what the name of the protectors were. That
polyurethane. So they're essentially, what you don't want to do is put a really rustly kind of protector on your pillow. The polyurethane ones that I have got are from a company called Decotex. They don't pay me. I'm not telling you that that's the only provider, but that's the company I'm using. And they are a polyurethane, so a kind of plastic undersheet with a terry toweling oversheet. So it's not rustly.
Right, okay, lovely. Do you think you could do me a favor in the chat? Do you think you could just spell polyurethane? I can't.
No.
I know, I can't do that. Does the chat have spell check?
Yeah.
Also, I noticed there's a question coming in from Kelly, not me, but another Kelly, talking about gloves. She's asking, will all cleaners be wearing gloves?
Yeah, so we recommend all cleaners wear gloves. If you cannot procure gloves, then it's just really important to keep your hands washed, especially when going from a dirty task to a clean task. But our course recommends that the cleaners are wearing gloves the whole time and then changing their gloves properly between the dirty tasks and the clean tasks. Fiona, I don't know what your course recommends. I'm curious though.
Yeah, again, it's a choice. You don't in a holiday house setting, if you're doing your cleaning yourself or you've got a team of cleaners that always work together, then there's no requirement for them to wear masks, for example. But gloves is best practice. You can take them off. But if you haven't got gloves or you don't want to wear gloves, then just wash your hands constantly.
Yeah.
That's a critical thing. It's the gloves get dirty too. So if you're using gloves, then every time you do a different task, you have to take the gloves off and get rid of them and get a new pair on. So that could be cost, prohibitive, possibly. So, at that point, you just make sure you wash your hands. And when you wash your hands up to here. You're not just washing your fingers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, just make sure that you're wearing gloves if the cleaning products that you're using require it. So it's really important to understand the cleaning products that you're using and that you're wearing the right protection for those cleaning products as well. So there's gloves just to stop the spread of germs, and then there's gloves, for the cleaning products themselves. And then one more thing about washing your hands is that, as I'm sure everyone knows, your hands are going to start to get really dry. And so it's important to also look at what you're using to wash your hands and try to find something with a moisturizer or to moisturize after you wash your hands, just to protect your skin and to make sure that, you're not ruining your own skin. So
Jennifer's actually made a really good point that's coming up, saying, please also consider plastic waste. So, I guess the washing the hand option is reducing that amount of plastic waste, because that's certainly something, when I was looking at the guidelines, it's like, don't reuse the same sponges, don't reuse the same cloths, don't reuse the same mop heads, change your plastic gloves. And I'm a real greenie, and inside I was silently screaming that all this waste is just going to, landfill, which is horrifying, really.
That's quite, I mean, I don't use gloves and I don't use plastic aprons or anything like that. I use a classic kitchen apron and I put it in the wash, and I wash my hands. So, but each business has got to make those decisions themselves.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind the plastic waste.
Yeah. Okay, should I keep going? There's I can see the chat just clicking through here.
And the questions underneath as well. Yes.
I don't want to hog all the time though, so I feel like I should keep going.
Keep going. We'll make sure we cover all the questions.
Okay. Okay, so this is a very simple thing that a lot of cleaners might not know, and which is flush the toilets with the lid closed and head turned away. So a lot of gross germs can live in toilets, and I know it's really easy to get your head down in the toilet and be washing it, but it's important to get that lid closed and flush it with your head kind of turned away. You should be wearing a mask at that point, or a shield. And that's just going to keep the germs from what they call toilet plume, which is the plume of sort of air that comes out of the toilet as it's being flushed. So that toilet plume can contain germs. And to be fair, it has been told to me, well, actually, I've learned that COVID doesn't actually live in fecal material. So this is more just a best practice in general, because other germs can live in the fecal material that comes into the toilet plume that can potentially, get onto you and cause you to get sick. The original course was written by someone who was really familiar with SARS, and that's where this guideline came from. And then upon doing research, we just realized this is something that's really easy to do, and will help stop the spread of germs. So
that's actually really interesting, because I saw that in Valencia, the government have got a project where they have people in the sewers and they have grid marked the whole city, and they are testing for fecal matter, because they're saying that they've found COVID in the fecal matter, and they can identify before even the people know that they've got COVID in a specific building or office or zone of the area. They already know because they can see it in the waste. So
really? Oh, well, I'm going to make a note, because maybe my information is a little bit old. So as you know, everything's changing so quickly.
I'll find the data that I saw and I'll share it with you, and vice versa.
Yeah, Fiona, do you have any insight into this one?
There's evidence that it can be in fecal material, but again, the science is changing so rapidly, it's just really difficult to keep up. I think assume the worst at this point.
Yeah, and this one definitely assumes the worst, and it just protects you from all the other germs that can live in the toilets. Yeah, but Kelly was going to share an invention that she made a few years ago that has to do with this one. So I think this is appropriate time to bring that up.
I'm going to share it with you. No, when we were having a conversation previously, I didn't actually manage to create my invention. What I had was the idea, and actually there is somebody who's come along to this event who was with me at the time when we were discussing it. But when I first found out about toilet plumes, and basically that fecal matter comes up to 3 feet in the air when you flush a toilet without the lid down, and it can stay in the air for up to a minute, roughly. And obviously toilet designs are now, there's lots of different changes, how the water flow is pushed into the toilet. So I really wanted to design something so that even if the toilet seat was down, it would prevent any fecal matter being sprayed out, because although toilet seat down does reduce the plume, it doesn't actually completely stop it, because if you imagine the plume comes up, hits the toilet seat, and then sprays outside it onto your legs or your dog or whatever's come into the bathroom with you. So I wanted to design a toilet seat cover that would actually prevent that completely, and I never managed to do it. And you have inspired me to go away and think about it some more, because I think it's brilliant. I find it.
I think it's brilliant, and if there's anyone on the webinar that wants to invest in a manufactured product, I think they should get a hold of you. It's brilliant. It's awesome. So this is an easy best practice. Tell your cleaners to do it. It's not going to take them any extra time, and it'll keep them quite a bit safer. So, oh, here's a good one that's again easy to do. Is to close the doors when you're vacuuming between rooms, and that'll just contain the germs within each room. Because if you think about it, when you're vacuuming, you're again like just making stuff sort of come out of the fabric on the ground. And so this was recommended by one of the universities that we were working with, to just keep those doors closed when you're vacuuming, and that'll just like contain the germs within each space. And you mentioned that offices are having a hard time kind of going back to work because of germs getting cross-contaminated between the office spaces, and this would be a good one for anyone doing commercial cleaning as well. Just make sure when you're vacuuming the different spaces, keep those doors closed.
Right. Okay. Yep, that was good.
Yep. So that's another easy one that is easy to just put into your practice there, into your habits. And then this is for the cleaners. When you get home from work, you should leave your shoes outside. You should immediately wash your clothes, and you should immediately take a shower. And that's just leaving your work germs at work. And then once you get home, getting everything cleaned up, and then you're at home with your home germs. And everyone can kind of use this who's in a setting that's a public setting. So if your kids are going to public school, you might want to consider doing some of these things for them if they're interacting with a lot of other kids, or if your partner is also working in a public setting or interacting with a lot of people. Like, this is a good practice for anyone who is interacting with lots of people during their day job. Okay. Okay. So, and then this is a little shout out to what we have going on with the cleaning certification course. I was just going to let everyone know, I think I already said most of this stuff, but it's a 1-hour online self-paced course. It's for vacation rental staff. Anyone can take it. It's in English and Spanish. It costs $20 US per student, and we're giving a discount to anyone on this webinar or anyone connected to Bookster with Bookster 20. You can learn more about cleaning certification at cleaningcertification.com. You can learn more about VR Scheduler, which is our parent company, at vrscheduler.com. I founded both of those companies. You can contact us on Twitter at Cleaning Certs, Facebook at Cleaning Certification. I'm on LinkedIn. Look me up at Jill Monet Mason. And then you can email me directly at jill@cleancertification.com or jill@vrscheduler.com. I monitor both those boxes. And that is the end of that. So I'll give it back over to you.
Can I just jump to some of the questions that we've had during your presentation?
Yeah.
We'll just see. Yeah. Elizabeth said that she messaged to say that we do daily housekeeping, but we haven't been making the beds each day. Any thoughts on what we could be doing? Not really sure on what in particular, Elizabeth. Are you thinking of an alternative to making the beds? Or are you thinking of folding the beds, or you maybe need more details on that? Elizabeth, if you can just clarify that would be handy.
Yeah.
Helen King has asked Fiona for the supplier of your linen bags.
I was going to say, oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I got mine in again. I'm not paid by them, but out of Eden.
Okay. I think if you're doing daily cleaning for your guests, I think the number one most important thing is just to try to make sure that your cleaners are wearing those N95 masks, especially if they're going to be passing by those guests, and you don't know if they've been sick or if they haven't been sick, or you want to make sure that your cleaners are protected if you're sending them in to the same space that your guests are in.
Okay, actually that leads on quite nicely. So Judy's asked about a recap about cleaners wearing masks. Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? What are your thoughts?
Well, so I think I think Fiona and I might differ a little bit on this. So we're recommending that cleaners wear a cloth mask, or if it's the same day of checkout, if they're literally walking in right after the guest, we recommend they wear an N95 mask to protect from those guest germs coming into them. So the N95 mask will protect the cleaner from getting germs from the guests. And then the cloth masks protect the guests from getting germs from the cleaner. So it depends on, the length of time since checkout and then the length of time until check-in, mostly. So we're recommending that if you can put that day of waiting between the guests and the cleaner, then they can wear a cloth mask and then they can do their work in the cloth mask. But if you're still booking those back-to-backs, then we recommend an N95 mask for the cleaners. And they can wear one mask for the entire clean.
Okay, Fiona, did you have a different kind of recommendation then from your perspective?
From our perspective, again, our guidelines suggest that masks can be appropriate, but at the same time, as I say, if you've got the same team going in to clean the property, as we've already discussed, the likelihood of it still being in the air by the time the cleaners get in there is pretty unlikely. And the purpose, largely from our point of view of a mask, is to stop your germs getting to those around you. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you're working with the same team, then you've pretty much got the same germs going on anyway. Therefore, if your cleaner doesn't want to wear a mask, it is not mandatory.
Okay.
But again, different property managers, different owners, different people are going to make different decisions on that. And there's no hard and fast rule.
And I guess that.
And I would say, if you're not sure, I would just wear a mask, like if you just need one rule, just get that cloth mask on, and then you don't have to worry about, this situation, that situation, this situation, just put on that mask. Then if your teams shift up or if one person went to a big party the night before, you're kind of covered for all of those situations.
I wear one when I'm doing the laundry. I don't flap the sheets, but at the same time, just to be extra safe, I wear one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what kind of mask do you wear, out of interest? It coordinates.
Scottish designer called Track. They don't pay me either.
That looked like a nice one, though. Is it a good one for moving around and stuff? Because I know they can get really hot.
No, they're great. They're absolutely brilliant. I've just put that on there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. So Melissa has asked a question about soap, whether or not antibacterial products are not being very good for septic tanks. So Fiona, I think you're going to cover this when you're talking later on. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Robin Jobson has asked a question. I can't say that word. I'm really sorry. I thought it had to be virucidal.
Antivirucidal. Yeah, virucidal. You need a virucidal disinfectant, not a bacterial disinfectant.
Right, okay.
EN 14476, not 1276. 1276 is not adequate for coronavirus.
Okay. Do you have kind of links that we can provide after this event? Talk about
absolutely.
that?
100%. All of this information is in the cleaning protocols and guidelines and frequently asked questions that we've got on the ASSC website, which is open to anybody. Anybody can download it immediately and get all of this information.
Perfect. Okay. Elizabeth says, do you think it's too risky to make beds?
No.
I love that answer.
I mean, fundamentally, one of the most important thing to remember is that we've had the flu, the common cold, norovirus. All of these awful things have been going around for decades and decades, and we've been dealing with them satisfactorily and fine for decades. We've all got to slightly stop panicking. This is completely achievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Claire Gibb has asked, which website was that cleaning info?
I'll stick it in the chat right now.
Brilliant. And also then, can we lead on to your presentation as well, if that's okay?
Yes, yeah. I'll be brief because I think, this is more about kind of giving people the opportunity to ask the questions rather than me telling you a whole bunch of stuff that's essentially already online. But I guess, I mean, the fundamental thing that you have to do before you do anything is a risk assessment. Now, we've all been open for a good few weeks. In the UK, we've been open since the beginning of July. And what we were hoping and encouraging people to do before they reopened was undertake a risk assessment. And if you haven't done one, then the one thing you need to take away from today, apart from all the very, very cool tips that Jill's given you, is to go and do a risk assessment. Now, a lot of people have come to me and said, can you do it for me? Well, I can't, because your properties are completely unique and each one needs a different risk assessment. So what you need to do is you walk in the front door and you check, as you walk through the property, what are your touch points? What are your risks? And how are you going to mitigate those risks? So you literally start at the front door, and what do you get to? And then you need to think about, like, who are your guests? If you have a lot of kids and families staying, kids touch everything. So you're going to need to potentially wipe down everything up to sort of this height. It's a pain, but it is just what it is. And all of those identified risks are going to inform your cleaning processes. The other thing to be really cognizant of is that science is always evolving. So your risk assessment needs to be agile. If some new science comes on board, then you need to be able to respond to those changes quite quickly. They shouldn't be set in stone. Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Busy.
Working from home, yeah, exactly. So, cleaning. We all know how to clean our properties. We've just discussed it. Some people, they've been saying, oh, we discussed it earlier. People say, oh, but I've always cleaned my properties really, really well. Well, I really hope so. But so the only thing that's really changed is that now we need to do a 2-phase clean. You need to clean and then you have to disinfect. And that's where this virucidal disinfectant comes in. So we should have all done that before. We should have been dealing with that to mitigate the risk of norovirus or seasonal flu or any of those things. It's best practice, and it shouldn't kind of be an entirely new way of behaving. But the fact is, now we're just much more aware of the necessities. When I was sitting here writing the guidelines for the self-catering sector in the UK, it had to be understandable and achievable for businesses. I've been running my own business for 18 years. So I wrote the self-catering protocols for people that are going to do it, for people that are going to clean their own properties, for people that have got a team of cleaners that are going to go and do it for them. So when you first look at this 27 pages, you might look at it and feel a little bit daunted, but actually you only need to read that once. I think it's really important you understand the context, you understand the science behind it and why we're washing our hands and what the medical evidence is behind what we're doing. Because once you understand it, you know what you're going to have to do about it. You understand why you don't want to shake the sheets or do with the rooms without shutting the doors. It becomes easier to manage. And then
Fiona, sorry to interrupt. Can you just speak a little bit closer to your microphone?
Sorry,
I've got a few comments
is that better? Right, sorry. So when it comes to bringing the guidelines alive, you need to know why you're doing these processes. So, for example, somebody was asking about the septic tanks. If you think about why we wash our hands. Now, why do we wash our hands? It's not just because of using soap. It's about using the soap for agitating the soap and agitating the water. And that breaks down the bubble of the virus. So then, that's how you kill it. So soap is not good enough for a septic tank because you just put it down the septic tank. You're not getting the agitation. So a normal soap detergent for your washing machine is fine because you've got the water, the soap, and the agitation. So that's just a really basic example of that's easy to understand if somebody explains it to you. But that's why septic tank soap is not good enough for, unfortunately. More importantly, kind of going beyond the actual cleaning protocols and processes, we're all putting in an extra effort these days. Don't just do it. Tell your guests that you're doing it. They should really appreciate the extra work that you're putting in to ensure their and indeed your safety. And they should also appreciate the associated costs. We all know if we've opened up again, it's cost a fortune in chemicals and equipment and bedding protection. But also let your guests know what you expect of them. You know, you want them to strip the beds, you want them to put them in a specific bag, you want them to put that specific bag in a specific room, you want them to remove the rubbish and put it in a specific place. You know, let them know before they arrive so they understand your expectations as well as what, you know, we want them to do things as much as they want us to do things to ensure their safety. And it's just a really important piece of guest messaging. So I
think I would actually add to that is that realistically, you shouldn't be just thinking about making these changes in a kind of little isolated bubble, because, you know, you can then end up with this beautiful property that's absolutely spotlessly clean and has got, you know, very little risk of any virus, but with very few bookings, and nobody's going to find out because they're going to go to your neighbour's property who is promoting themselves with their photos and their content and on their website and on their social media as actually, you know, going through their properties and having this two-step process for cleaning and taking the extra step and caring about their guests. They're going to get the bookings and you're not. So
absolutely,
it's a massive undertaking to really think about this kind of on a larger scale, thinking about what your story is. You know, you care about your guest safety, and then communicating that at all the different points where your brand and your customers kind of come in contact with each other, either before the sale or after the sale or while they're staying. And that takes work, and I think it takes effort, but I think it will play out that you'll get more bookings as a direct result of it.
I absolutely couldn't agree more. And I think we need to take this as a kind of marketing opportunity. You know, make sure that you've got your certification. If you haven't done an online course, go ahead and do Jill's cleaning certification by all means. The ASSC's got one as well. You know, do that, but then promote it on your website, promote it across your social media. Make sure that you've got your good to go accreditation from Visit Britain, all of those things. But don't just do it. Tell people that you're doing it, because it's really important. And as Kelly's just said, you know, this is a real opportunity. Self-catering or short-term letting is going to be the holiday of choice for a long time to come. So this is the time to really harness what we're doing in terms of best practice and shout about it. And that's how we're going to fill our properties. So let's not be shy about it. We've all had a horrible time, but this is an opportunity to actually make the best of an awful time. You know, as I always say now, the road is now open. It's full of potholes. It's not going to be easy, but the road is open, and let's look to the end of the road and get there fast.
I just was going to pitch in here. So we did do a couple studies where people put their listings up side by side, one with the clean certification badge, which could be your badge as well, and one without. And we saw the bookings go up over 30%. It tracked over a 3-week period between the non-promoting property and the promoting property. And the other benefit of that is they saw a decrease in customer service down to 0 around cleaning questions. Mm-hmm. So the one property without the badge, they were getting cleaning questions on almost every booking inquiry. And the one with the badge, they got 0. So it's going to save you time with your customer service. It's going to gain you more bookings, and it just increases that trust factor for the guests.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, it's really important to look at the positives around this. And, you know, we're not going to get as many complaints about cleaning, you know, there's some good stuff out here.
Shall we have a quick look at the questions? There's some in particular, Fiona, that I think you would be interested in about fogging. What are your thoughts on fogging?
Fogging. Who knew we'd ever discuss fogging? I mean, seriously. Like 6 months ago, nobody had even heard of fogging, and now everyone's an expert, right? Fogging. So fogging is the use of a machine to distribute the said virucidal disinfectant. It's not anything particularly technical, but there's various ways of dispersing the virucidal disinfectant. You've got a squeezy bottle, you've got a spray, you've got a liquid, you've got misting bottles. Oh, top tip for misting bottles. Don't get an expensive one. Go onto any kind of like Amazon or whatever and use a misting bottle from a hairdresser salon. Genius. £2.99. I really need to get out more, don't I? Anyway, so fogging machines. So fogging machines are most certainly not mandatory. They are not required at all. But if you are concerned about, for example, disinfecting your curtains, and don't forget, where do people open their curtains? They open them there. They don't open them at the top and they don't open them at the bottom. You only need to disinfect the bit where somebody's going to touch it or lick it if you've got strange guests. You just don't know. And then you've got carpets. Now, a fogging machine is a very useful way of disinfecting your carpets, especially if you've got little kids crawling, for example. It's not necessary. You can put your said eco-friendly, EnviroSafe or Dew product into a fogging machine. Now, you should always wear protective equipment, as in goggles, mask, gloves, when you're using a fogging machine. And that's not necessarily because the materials that you're using are dangerous, but you don't want anything shooting into your system unnecessarily. So it's just best practice, always wear your protective equipment when you're using a fogging machine. But I was totally against them at the beginning of this. And I think there are some companies, and I'll be absolutely honest, that have jumped on the bandwagon that are suggesting that they can come in and fog your property and it's going to last a month and it'll cost you £299 plus VAT per month. Like, seriously? What, my attitude on that is, what are you putting across your whole house? What chemicals are going to be around for a month? That doesn't sound particularly comforting to me. So if you want to go the extra mile and you want to make your customers feel safe, and this is all about consumer confidence, all of this is about consumer confidence and safety, then you can use a fogging machine after you've done your clean. But you don't have to.
That's interesting, actually, because the question is using the fogging machine first and then the cleaners going in 20 minutes later, but you're saying maybe doing it the other way around.
The purpose of the fogging is to disinfect. You have to clean before you disinfect. The only purpose of fogging before you clean, before you disinfect, is to keep the cleaners safer. But there's very, very, very little evidence of risk to cleaners because it settles. So again, if you feel like you want to do it beforehand, that's fine. It's an added cost and it's an added time expense, but it's your choice.
Okay, good answer. We've got last question. Oh, no, we haven't. Last question in the questions. Can you be held liable if someone catches coronavirus while staying at your property?
You've got to work on the assumption of plausible deniability. How on earth could they ever absolutely attribute that virus or infection to your property? They could have picked it up at the petrol station on the way to your property. There's no way, absolutely no way. There's no way you can absolutely confirm that there's no virus in your property, and there's no way that somebody can sue you for picking it up in your property. It would just be virtually impossible. All we can do is do our best. And if you read the protocols and you do the online training and you get your certification, you're doing your best. That's all we can do. But frankly, you can pick up the flu anywhere. You can pick up norovirus anywhere. And by the way, coronavirus is much easier to clean up than norovirus is. So, this is very serious, but we've dealt with worse. And we will continue to deal with worse. So we need to understand that it's achievable. I'm not here to worry people. I'm here to say this is completely achievable. Just take, precautions, be sensible, do your certification, know what you're talking about, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And the other benefit is, if you are training your cleaners using Fiona's course or our course, it's just going to give them so much more confidence and make them feel, it's a benefit to them. And you all know how hard it is to retain staff and and especially now, like a lot of cleaners are nervous and they're kind of scared and bookings are flying in and you want to retain that staff. So it's a great way to retain your staff as well, just to let them know, hey, we offer, we put you through this training course. We care about your safety. We care about you.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to retain your staff. And then, as we talked about earlier, it's also increasing guest trust. So like Fiona said, it's low risk to your cleaners and it's low risk to your guests, but we still need to pay attention, and we still need to, put into place some of these really good habits of washing our hands and wearing the mask when it's appropriate. But to just have that cleaner training piece provides so many benefits to the whole ecosystem of the vacation rental. Guests, cleaners, trust, doing your part. So yeah, I just think that cleaner training piece is so important.
I do too, and I absolutely endorse that. And the other thing to do is also, it's best practice for them. We want our cleaners to be doing their job to the best of their ability. So it's actually just improving quality across the sector. The other thing that I do, which I've had really good feedback from, is I leave the cleaning checklist in the house once it's been cleaned and signed off. So here's one here. You get the cleaner to tick the boxes on every single thing that I expect them to do. There's 3 pages of this bad boy. And I leave it in the house, and the guests come in and they look at that and they go, okay, I feel safe. This is comfortable. So it's just a really simple thing. It's a printout. Leave it in the house. They love it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm very conscious of the time. We've got some more questions here. We've got one question there. So I think we'll answer the last question on fogging. But obviously, if you do have other questions, feel free to come back to us and we'll try and help you out or point you in the right direction. Last question on fogging. How long should you leave it after fogging before entering the property? That was from Norma.
As long as you're using a reasonable, nice product, leave it for 15 minutes. It takes maximum 15 minutes to actually neutralize the virus from pretty much every surface. So 15 minutes, you'll be safe.
Okay, lovely. From the questions that we had that I was sent before, we've covered most of them actually. One wasn't covered about using a buffer period. Do you think, would you recommend using a buffer or not? Because I know Airbnb's got different guidelines and
not if you want to make a living.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with Fiona on that one. I think, if you want to cater to Airbnb's policies or this person's policies, then, you can try to do that. But
Airbnb doesn't rely on the turnover from the business. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And the other thing is about the science evolving all the time is that originally the 72-hour thing came about. I'm not really sure who plucked that from the sky, but the 72 hours thing was how long that people thought that it still existed. Now, new evidence shows that actually, if you don't clean anything, then it can actually last for up to a week. So what are you going to do with imagine the 72-hour buffer zone. Your guests leave, you leave 72 hours before your cleaners come in. The cleaners have been in the community. So what are you going to do? Leave 72 hours again for the guests to come in? I mean, where does that stop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If
you're better to train your cleaners than to put the buffer in.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
Okay, let me just double check. We've more or less covered all the answers. Oh, we've got one more that I spotted on a forum just before I came here. Some property manager has posted that their guest, for the first time, they've got a guest who has called them and said that they've got COVID. What should they do? Do you have recommendations?
We've got guidance from the Scottish government, which is almost exactly the same as from the UK government. So again, I've put a link down in the chat, which takes you straight to the protocols and the frequently asked questions, and the answer is right there.
Lovely. Okay, then I think we should probably call it a wrap there, because otherwise we'll just be here in an hour. I hope everybody's found that useful. What I'll do after this event, there will be a replay which you can log into here to get, but I will also put together a replay with the slides, with links to the various different topics that we've talked about today, even the ones that Fiona is not endorsed by. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. I'm sure I speak on behalf of Fiona and Jill as well. As far as cleaning is concerned, we're here to support you. So do feel free to get in touch. For anybody who would like to come to our future events, I've skipped past that one. We have an event in just 2 weeks So Marilee Carr is coming along from the Short-Term Accommodation Association, and she's going to be talking about what you should be doing right now or in the next, couple of months to put yourself in the best possible position for the future. I mean, we've all kind of struggled our way through some really difficult periods this year, and she's wanting to try and support you with new strategies that are going to help you for next year. So hopefully you can come along. I'll put some links in the email as well, so hopefully you can come along to that too. And before I go, I just wanted to say huge thank you to Fiona and Jill, otherwise known as Phil, coming along to the event today. And I'm so happy you came along, and I hope everybody's found it useful. I'm absolutely certain that they have. Hang on a second. Do you have a post we can use in social media to highlight that we've just taken part in the seminar?
You will do by the end of the day, okay?
Okay, lovely. Well, in that case, I will call at the end and say thank you very much, guys. And yeah, we'll speak to you all again soon.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.